But yeah, I didn't want to talk about it during this series because it would just be too much of a tangent and too hard to explain, and I'd have to repeat myself over and over as more people tune in. But yeah, sure, I can answer questions about that if anybody's got questions about Twitter and Reddit takes that were going out today. Yeah, I don't think it's that complicated, really, myself. I don't think it's that surprising that there isn't a LAN for me. Yeah, RLCS. Psyonix announced today that there's not going to be a LAN for RLCS Worlds, and obviously that's a real shame. Look at this moment. I forgot about that. Where they're both just. Look at this. Wait, I have to rewind. This is hilarious. Look at what a moment in a game, battling for rank 1. I like to think that pause in the Twitter talk for a second. I like to think that if Khaled didn't flip here, I don't think Jack was going to flip either. Look at this. I'm pretty sure if Khaled just keeps driving, Jack would have also kept driving. Look how committed Jack is to this. Respect to Jack. Look at him. He's actually like following Khaled. He's like lining up. Oh, it's unreal. But yeah, there's no LAN. RLCS announced that today. But yeah, personally, I think it's probably a good decision. I don't really know like anything about what's going on behind the scenes with that. I'm not part of the decision-making process. I'm not, part of that conversation at all. I'm just a caster. I just commentate the games. No, this isn't sped up.
This is normal speed.
For somebody asking. But yeah, looking at what has happened, I'm not personally surprised. Rocket League's a super young game. Like all the well, not all, but a lot of the players are actually too young to travel alone. Guardians are required for international travel. I think it's for anyone under the age of 18, right? So I can only imagine, personally, like I said, I'm not part of this decision-making process. I'm not part of this conversation. I want to reiterate that. But I can only imagine how difficult it would be to get however many players, what is it, like 50 players, if you include substitutes, all into one country, from all kinds of different countries all over the world, into a country, quarantine, do a LAN, get them all home safely with their guardians, with the whole production team. Like that, come on, this is obviously a massive undertaking, and it's not just as simple as, I'm seeing some really, really silly things. People are like tweeting, oh yeah, why don't they just rent a stadium? And I'm like, are people that like actually this ridiculous? Like, just rent a stadium? Come on. Like, give Psyonix a break. Oh man, some of the comments I was seeing were just unbelievable today. But yeah, I did tweet that, well, really the only two things that I think about this whole thing is, number one, is obviously not what anybody wants. Everybody wants a LAN. Like, Psyonix want a LAN, the RL Esports crew want a LAN, all the fans want a LAN, all the players want a LAN, all the casters want a LAN. There isn't a single person who doesn't want a LAN to happen. But yeah, we just have to accept that a LAN isn't happening. And that doesn't mean that anyone's done anything wrong. Like, nobody did anything wrong. Reading the timeline today, reading the Twitter timeline, you'd think somebody did something wrong with all the tweets I'm seeing from pros, coaches, people involved in esports organizations. I'm like reading all this thinking, if I didn't know what all these tweets are about, I'd think, oh my goodness, who messed up? But nobody messed up. It's just there is a global pandemic, so there's nothing you can do about that. You can't, COVID's not just going to disappear because Rocket League wants a LAN. Rocket League fans want a LAN, Rocket League players want a LAN. COVID doesn't care about all that. It's still going to do its thing. So yeah, you just gotta roll with it. Just gotta roll with it. Apparently they didn't communicate it fast enough. I don't really know anything about that, so I can't really comment because I don't know. I'm not part of that decision or conversation. So I don't really know anything about that whole process about communicating stuff with players. I do know though that with anything like this, it's always it has to be handled with care. So yeah, I can only imagine that stuff like this had to be kept, under wraps, or had to be kept until the very last minute. A lot of people were complaining, actually, and I don't really see what the problem is with this, but a lot of people were complaining about the fact that it was only announced right before the regional today. I mean, you guys are allowed to disagree here. I'm not, trying to say that my opinion is the only one that's valid here. But what do you guys think? Is that a problem? That the world's format and the fact that there isn't going to be an RLCS LAN was announced right before the regional today, do you guys think that's a problem? Because, yeah, personally, I don't think that's a problem. I don't see the issue there. I think that's fine. I don't see how the two things are related at all. I don't think it matters. The regional's happening today, and, if this is the day that it was decided to announce that there's not going to be a LAN, if this is the day that they could announce that there was not going to be a LAN, then yeah, announce it today. What are all these people saying? They should have waited until after the weekend to announce it. Wait even longer, because I definitely disagree with that. I always think announcing things as early as possible is good. So yeah, I imagine, and again, I want to reiterate, because people are gonna think I'm saying something here that I'm not. I am not a part of this decision-making process. I'm not a part of these conversations. I don't know. I can only speculate that, this was the earliest that this could be announced. So they did. So they announced it today. As someone who runs tournaments and as someone who's, done smaller scale things myself, smaller scale events than RLCS, the way that it usually goes is when you can announce something, you do, because it's good to have things out early. So yeah. Yeah, they probably announced it today because they could announce it today, and the fact that there's a regional on, I don't see how that makes any difference at all, personally. I don't think it matters. Yeah, a lot of people seem to have a problem with that. I can understand though, don't get me wrong. And, I tweeted this earlier, I said, being upset that there's not an RLCS LAN is understandable. I think I said that. I don't remember if that was the exact phrasing. I could read it, but it was something, I could go read it, but I know it was something similar to that. It is fine to be upset about that. It's normal to be upset about this. But at the same time, if you're a professional, if you want to be a professional Rocket League player, you got to take whatever aspects of the job come with that. And one of the aspects of the job is, you play when your games are scheduled. You play your games. And yes, I think some people probably misunderstood my tweet as me saying that nobody should be tweeting out about this if you don't have anything I'm sure you guys have heard the phrase. I don't know if you guys have the phrase in America. You probably do. I don't feel like it's going to be an English or UK phrase. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Do you guys have that phrase or something similar? That's not at all what I was saying. I wasn't saying that, I expect silence on the topic. I don't think silence is necessary. But at the same time, what I do think is that just because, being upset about something and vocalizing how upset you are about something is okay, it doesn't mean that it's okay to have a tantrum and to, kick up a fuss. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I know that if a parent's kid is upset about something, the parent's not going to be like, hey, shut up. You're not allowed to be upset. No, of course they're allowed to be upset. Of course they're allowed to vocalize how upset they are. But what they're not allowed to do is step out of line. If a kid steps out of line and says something that's going too far, then the parent's probably going to tell the kid, no, you can't do that. Yeah, you're allowed to be upset, but you're not allowed to, go and start throwing things on the floor and drawing on the wall with crayons. There's a line here. And if players want to be treated, to bring it back to the current, what's happening in Rocket League, If players want to be treated like professionals, they got to act like professionals. And it's not professional to go on Twitter and to start doing things like calling Psyonix clowns because there isn't an RLCS LAN. That's not constructive. That doesn't help anybody. It's pointless. It's a totally pointless response, and it's an unprofessional response. It's a childish response. That to me is crossing the line, and I don't want to see that. Some people are saying there's what my tweet is also pointless, that my tweet doesn't do anything because it doesn't add to discussion, but I would disagree, because if somebody was about to tweet something stupid and then they read my tweet saying pros are being childish, and then they decide to delete their tweet, then good. I don't want to see dumb tweets on my timeline about childish responses to a bad situation. It's a bad situation already. You don't need to make it worse by throwing around hate, To a group of people, by the way, I'm talking to Psyonix Esports here. They're a group of people who put their entire, they put their lives, and they put all of their work and everything that they do is to make the Rocket League esports scene better, to make RLCS better. They've done so much, and in my opinion, RLCSX has been an unbelievable success. I can't actually believe how good it's been. I think it's been the best season of RLCS by far. And there's been a global pandemic happening. How they've managed to pull that off, the fact that they've done the best season ever during a global pandemic, you can't really praise that enough. So yeah, they deserve praise. They don't deserve hate for having to make a difficult decision that I'm sure they didn't want to make. It's not fair. Yeah, and apart from that, apart from toxic tweets being thrown around that aren't constructive at all, the only other thing that doesn't really sit well with me is seeing players say stuff like pointless season, seeing coaches say stuff like pointless season, and seeing players and coaches and just whoever else, fans, whoever, doesn't, anybody saying this is, same thing really. Saying stuff like pointless season and let's just throw the last regional. Come on. You can make jokes about this and it's fine. I saw some tweets that were hilarious. I think Rattle's tweet about last time we had a LAN scrub was good. That's a hilarious tweet. I think that's really funny, and that's that's perfectly okay in my opinion. But yeah, saying stuff like pointless season, come on. You expect me to take someone seriously when they say something like this? This is a overreaction in my opinion. Had to restrain myself not to tweet back who's the actor? What's the movie where the guy's crying with all the money and he's wiping the tears away with all the money? Imagine thinking a season, I know it's not all about the money, but imagine thinking it's a pointless season when you've just competed for your share of $4.5 million without having to go outside. You haven't had to leave your house. That's pretty good. I know some of these guys go to boot camps or whatever, but you know what I mean. Zombieland, that's the one. Yeah, pointless. Get out of here. And hey, it's yes, the Rocket League pro scene is very young, and a lot of the players are very young. And this is a lesson that they're gonna have to learn. You gotta learn how to deal with things going wrong and things happening that you don't enjoy. But yeah, going on Twitter while you're emotional and throwing around random tweets and looking like you're having a tantrum, that for me is not professional. So if you want, professional players got to not do that. Yeah, I've got nothing against people being oh, I'm really sad to see this. If they retweet the announcement tweet and say, oh, this is a shame. Yeah, that's fine. That's nothing wrong with this. Not saying people shouldn't be genuine about it. Just don't make it worse. That's all I want. Squishy had a great tweet. Yeah, Squishy's tweet was great. I think Squishy's tweets are usually very mature in this kind of context. But yeah, some of the people who were tweeting out and acting up were not, teenagers. They weren't teenage pro gamers. They were people that I expected to know better, and it's extremely disappointing to see some of those tweets from people. The excuse always gets thrown around whenever somebody criticizes the Rocket League community. Whenever I criticize the Rocket League community, the Rocket League Pro community for being immature, and the Rocket League Pro scene for being immature, I always get the response, these guys are kids, what do you expect? And I mean, the response is simple. I expect professionalism because they are professionals. They want to be professionals, so I expect professionalism. But also, that's not always true. They're not all kids. There are adults among them. There are people with years of experience in Rocket League esports among them. And they are not exempt from this because they're literally not kids. So, I mean, first of all, saying that, oh, they're kids, leave them alone. Let them have their tantrum. No, I disagree. But secondly, some of these people who are throwing around immature tweets and throwing around like immature opinions are not kids. So they should be, I mean, by that argument, they should be held to a higher standard. But apparently they're not. Everybody's just like throwing around nonsense. There's no repercussions. But yeah, basically there's nothing to be gained from throwing around toxicity at a time like this, when nobody is happy with what's happening. Everybody wants the same thing. We're all on the same team. And there's nothing to be gained from throwing around toxicity. Memes? Yes. Sad? Yes. It's fine. It's fine to be sad. It's fine to be upset. It's fine to make memes. No reason to throw around toxicity, though. There's definitely no reason to look like an unprofessional in this space. It's the worst time to look unprofessional, that's for sure. Hey, Darkbeak, thanks for 48-month tier 1. Oh my goodness. And hey, Dubious Crayon as well, 19-month tier 1. Did I not say Crayon during this whole rant? I think I did. Hey, welcome back though. Appreciate the resubs, guys. But yeah, in summary, I take back nothing I tweeted. I think it's fine. I think maybe some people misunderstood and said I was expecting silence. That's not what I said. Maybe some people didn't read the Rocket League timeline today on Twitter and they didn't know what I was referring to. But yeah, I was specifically referring to people who are throwing shade at people who don't deserve it, and people saying that they're going to throw the regional and that this is a pointless season when it couldn't be further from the fact. Like, this is just a nonsensical red herring in something that shouldn't even be an argument in the first place. Seriously lost respect for you a long time ago. I hope you find it, man. Maybe like retrace your steps, go back the way you came. Maybe you'll find it somewhere along the way. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks. I want a LAN just as much as you guys. I wish there was a LAN. Just as much as all the Rocket League pros. It sucks casting from home. For this length of time, it's very difficult to keep up the motivation, to keep improving, to keep getting better. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna, stop trying. It doesn't mean that I know all of the other casters are in the same boat here. And there's also, I guess there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. Some people are saying, oh, if Johnny wasn't on the Psyonix payroll, he wouldn't be saying this. I can promise you I would. Like, I definitely would have tweeted this exact same tweet if I wasn't on the Psyonix payroll. Because for me, this is a no-brainer. I really don't see why everybody's getting upset at Psyonix about this. It's pretty obvious why they weren't, able to make a LAN. I know things are looking pretty good with the vaccine effort in the US and in the UK, but still, do you guys watch the news? It doesn't look like it's looking that good everywhere. And yeah, totally understandable why this wasn't possible. Not sure why people are acting like it's crazy. You don't need to justify yourself. No, I'm not. I don't feel like I need to justify myself either. I just want to speak out to get, against all of the hate. I want to speak up against it because there's a lot of hate being thrown around, and it seems that a lot of people think that the correct response is just to let it happen. Because pro players are upset. They put all this work into something and they didn't get what they wanted. But I don't think that's okay. I think if this behavior happens, it should be called out. And I'm not calling out anyone in particular. I'm not going to read anything in particular, because I don't want to start anything negative here against individuals. Yeah, definitely can't wait for Lance to be back, that's for sure. But yeah, I also wanted to mention, I was going to say, I didn't really want to engage with anybody on Twitter. I didn't reply to anyone on Twitter about this. I didn't reply to anybody who replied to my tweet about this, because I don't want to do that. I don't think there's really anything to be gained from those kind of conversations. I didn't want to like start replying to everybody and just turn it into a mess. I was just like, I'm just going to, tweet out one time. Hopefully encourage some people not to tweet dumb tweets about what's happening. And that's it. That's all. Yeah, a whole lot of people are, engaging with that, and it's not difficult to not reply. It's very easy, actually, to not reply.